did was we reached out to Senator John McCain's office to get the latest information, and he's been kind enough to join us. Senator, as always, thank you for giving us some time.
Well, thank you, Mike. This is a terrible time for the people of Brussels and their families, and I just saw where this possibility that three young missionaries from Utah may have been injured or killed, and that's tragic as well. But the point is, it could have been avoided. It's a direct result of a feckless foreign policy and failure by President Obama. And the chickens have continued to come home to roost because of his abject failure. And America and the world are going to continue to pay a very heavy price for it.
Is there any information on who is claiming responsibility for this yet?
I don't think there's any doubt in anybody's mind that this is ISIS.
Okay.
That these are the same people that, if not the same network, but the same people, the ISIS-inspired people who carried out the last series of bombings. We know that because we've apprehended people already that ISIS is sending out into the refugee flow to commit acts of terror, get on safe internet sites, and plan attacks in Europe and the United States of America. We know that, and we have known it, and the Director of National Intelligence and the Director of the FBI have been warning about it, and it's all a result, Mike, when we pulled out all the way out of Iraq and left it to the tender mercies of al-Qaeda that went to Syria, which turned into ISIS, and then the rest is history, and we failed to leave a force behind in Iraq. We have failed to take out Bashar Assad, who has barrel bombed 250,000 of his own people, slaughtered 250,000 of his own people, and driven this refugee flow of millions of people into Europe. This isn't like an earthquake or a hurricane. This is a result of failed leadership on the part of the United States of America, and we will continue to pay a heavy price.
You know, the president spoke this morning. I'm sure you heard his words, or at least we got copy of the words the president spoke in Cuba today about this, and said we will do everything we can or everything within our power to help our friends in Brussels. I don't know what that means. I don't know what what he is. Honestly, because in the past we've seen what happened in Paris, it doesn't seem like we have made a commitment to stopping this from happening anywhere. And it doesn't seem like our enemies fear us or fear attacking our allies because they're not worried about retribution from us.
Mike, we've got two choices. We either fight them there or we fight them here. And I'm talking about, Lindsey Graham and I have been talking about for years, a no-fly zone in Syria where refugees could go without fear of being murdered. And instead of the flow that we're seeing into Europe, it would take about 10,000 American troops and a force of 100,000, Turkey, Saudi, others, go to Raqqa and kill Baghdadi. Unless you kill them there, they are going to carry out killings here. And we also need to go and reclaim Mosul, the second largest city in Iraq, and that would take some American boots on the ground, which there already are. This president has practiced the Vietnam same terrible mistakes of incremental increases, which have not had any significant terminating effect on the battlefield. As you well know, a United States Marine was killed and several others wounded just in the last few days in Iraq. But you've got to go in and kill them. And if you don't, then, and by the way, we know now that Raqqa is now got a chemical weapons factory they've set up. It's the first terrorist organization that is controlled territory in history, and they will continue to export this terror, mayhem, and suicide attacks as long as they are capable of doing so. And then we got to work on this whole issue of the radicalization of Islam and the willingness of people to take their own lives in order to take the lives of others in the name of martyrdom.
We heard a report, there's been a breaking news report that there was a nuclear power plant in eastern Brussels that was evacuated. Now, we didn't hear if that was protocol because of the terrorist attack or if there was maybe intelligence of an imminent attack or an attack possible against the facility. Do you know anything about that? Has your office heard any data or any information about that?
We have not. We have not. But I'm sure they're taking every prudent measure, just as in every major city in America, including Phoenix, Arizona. I'm sure that we're taking prudent measures. These people can get into the United States of America. If they get to Europe and they have a passport, all they need to do is get on an airplane, as you know, and they can land anywhere in the United States. So all I can say is it's going to be a long, hard struggle. This president has failed miserably. This is a result of Barack Obama's desire to lead from behind. This is the result. You're going to see Trump and others say, well, they have to fend for themselves. We've got to keep anyone from coming to the United States, and I'm all for that. But the fact is, as long as you have a terrorist organization with a capital and a base in Raqqa and the ability to arm, train, and equip and indoctrinate and send people out to be suicide bombers, you're not going to stop this. And we have to understand that. And I know that was very unpopular a few years ago when I started saying it, but I think more and more people are beginning to believe it, and particularly in light of what just happened in Brussels. And by the way, we're going to have to spend some more money on defense.
Let me ask you one more question, because in light of what we're seeing in Brussels and we're watching this horror on television, in your opinion, what is the likelihood of an attack like this in an American city? Is the likelihood, is it a good likelihood, or should we be concerned about this happening here?
The Director of National Intelligence and the head of the FBI have all said, and I agree with them, there are planned attacks on the United States of America. The likelihood of attacks on the United States of America is very high. I will go one step further. Unless we take these people out, there will be attacks on the United States of America. It's inevitable.
Well, Senator, we appreciate the time. I know that it's got to be a busy time in your office and with the Armed Services Committee and the people in the United States Senate. So we appreciate you giving us the update as much as you know up to now. We always appreciate you coming on the show.
Thanks, Mike. Bye.
All right, thank you. That's Senator John McCain spending a few moments. As he said, he believes it's imminent if we don't do something about where they are. This again, now, if you look at a map.